Mr. Maloney.
Mr. Chairman, two quick housekeeping matters. Ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an ABC News story. This one's for my friend, Mr. Stewart, entitled 70% of Americans say Trump's actions tied to Ukraine were wrong, dated November 18th, 2019.
Without objection.
Also ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a New Yorker story entitled The Invention of the Conspiracy Theory on Biden and Ukraine, how a conservative dark money group that targeted Hillary Clinton in 2016 spread the discredited story that may lead to Donald Trump's impeachment. Jane Mayer, October 4th, 2019.
Without objection.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Dr. Hill, first of all, I thought that was some epic mansplaining that you were forced to endure by my colleague, Mr. Turner, and I want you to know some of us think it was inappropriate, but I appreciate your forbearance. Let me ask something. I'm fascinated by this meeting, two meetings really, on July 10th. You have the meeting in Mr. Bolton's office. Sondland says this thing about investigations. Bolton ends the meeting. Photo. There's a follow-on meeting in the wardroom. And you get there a little late, and Vindman is talking to Sondland, and they're already going at it about Sondland's desire to assert that the meeting's going to happen if there's these investigations. That, in sum and substance, what's going on?
That's it, right, yes.
And what I want to understand is this isn't a policy disagreement, right?
No, that's correct.
The source of your concern is not a policy disagreement, and it's not purely a procedural disagreement either, right? About how excuse me.
I'm sorry, yes, it's not correct.
It's neither policy nor is it procedure that's bothering you, or for that matter, the National Security Advisor, Mr. Bolton, right?
Correct.
I mean, it's not why he sends you down there to see how the meeting's going.
Correct.
And in fact, he instructs you to go to the lawyer. Ever been instructed to go report something to the NSC lawyer before?
That was the first time. I've self-instructed a couple of times, but that was the first time I have been instructed to go.
And why did he send you to report this to the lawyer?
Well, he clearly wanted to have himself on the record as not being part of what was basically an agreement to have a meeting in return for investigations. And he wanted to make sure that I and Colonel Vindman were also not part of this as well, because remember there was a corollary to this about not getting involved in domestic politics.
Yes, I understand. And you, of course, did you concur with this concern that Mr. Bolton had?
I did, because July 10th is really the first time that it crystallized for me that there was basically a different channel going on here.
And I think you understand.
A foreign policy channel and a domestic policy channel, and we're not in that other channel.
Right, I think you described it as a political errand, and you were doing national security policy is how you distinguish those two channels. Is that fair? Right, and so is it fair to say that you felt it was improper what was occurring by Mr. Sondland in the wardroom?
It was improper and it was inappropriate, and we said that in real time.
And here's my point. If it was improper and you went so far as to report this to the lawyers, what was the nature of your disagreement with Mr. Sondland, who has come here and said he had no idea that Burisma meant Biden's until much, much later than July 10th? And of course, we know that he and Ambassador Volker had a blizzard of interactions with Mr. Giuliani. They were amending statements, proposed statements for the Ukrainian president. This went on all summer. And yet, how is it that you had this disagreement in front of the Ukrainians, sent them out into the hallway? At some point, did he ask, I'm just talking about an investigation of corruption generally. What are you getting so worried about?
He didn't put it in that way, and I think from listening to him in his depositions and in what I've read of what he deposed, and he made it very clear that he was surprised that we had some kind of objection. You may remember that in his deposition and when he was here, he actually didn't remember the meeting in the same way.
But I thought you said it was pretty obvious to you. Excuse me.
Well, it was obvious to me, correct.
I thought it was obvious to you that Burisma meant Biden's.
Yes, it was.
And you actually treated that as a pretty easy thing to understand. In fact, Mr. Morrison figured it out with a single Google search. But is it credible to you that Mr. Sondland was completely in the dark about this all summer? I mean, you had an argument about it. Didn't he say, what are you so worried
It's not credible
about?
to me at all that he was oblivious to this.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your answer.
It is not credible to me that he was oblivious. He did not say Biden's, however, he just said Burisma. He said 2016, and I took it to mean the elections as well as Burisma.
Well, I want to thank you both for your appearance here today. Yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Demings.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hill and Mr. Holmes, for your service. I have no doubt after today that we're a better nation because of it.